Tonight on News 5 Live, the Belize Medical and Dental Association raised concerns about COVID complications. Bishop Wright weighs in on vaccinations for churchgoers, and an early carrot crop means more for your table. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
We have been a partner with SMART for over 10 plus years. We have a full SMART plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this SMART service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our SMART service, we pay an average about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to SMART because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
SMART continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
YAIS is the sustainable financing initiative of YASCHE. YAIS provides ecotour, transportation, and accommodation services through Ecotourism Belize and sells organic seedlings from YASCHE's nursery. YAIS offers educational experiences to study abroad groups and provides local entrepreneurs with business opportunities. YAIS prides itself to support sustainable livelihoods and reinvests all profits in its conservation efforts.
The vaccine is now available. We here at R&G Life encourage you to take the vaccine. Belize, it's time to roll up our sleeves.
I'm rolling up mine because I know what COVID can do to families.
Because I want to go back to the way things were.
I'm rolling up mine so that I'm able to do music again.
Because I want to protect my family.
Things are slowly getting back to normal. The new normal, which includes getting vaccinated. Trust the facts. When your turn comes, take the opportunity to get vaccinated. Roll up or believe.
Alert! Alert! It's a deal alert! It's a Benny's deal alert!
At Bennett's, you will find deal alerts on a wide selection of paints, including BH paints and texture light paints. Deal alert markdowns will also be applied to our complete selection of tiles, lights and fans, appliances, and much, much more. And remember, Deal Alert purchases will get double tickets to take part in the grand draw on December 18th to win $10,000. For more details, visit Benny's.pz. Benny's, quality and savings.
According to the World Health Organization, cancer is the second leading cause of death globally, or 1 in 6 deaths in the past years. Are you aware that breast cancer occupies the first place of incidence as well as the highest mortality rate? As it relates to Belize, it is approximated that 49.9% of cancer patients suffer from breast cancer and 12.3% will die from this disease. Breast cancer can be treated when detected early. We encourage self-examination, but also plan your clinical breast exam with your doctor or at any hospital or clinic providing this service.
The WHO states that prostate cancer is the 4th most common cancer overall and the 2nd most common cancer in men. Prostate cancer deaths in Belize reach 42, or 2.3% of total deaths. This cancer can be asymptomatic at the early stages and requires early active surveillance. All men over 40 should start getting a prostate test and a prostate cancer screening.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Government of Belize have designated October as Cancer Awareness Month.
This disease is hurting our families and communities.
We need to join hands and raise our voices for hope for all the fighters, peace for all the survivors, and prayers for the fallen.
And comfort for the families and friends of people diagnosed with cancer.
This will sensitize our Belizean people to recognize the importance of a healthy lifestyle, early screening, and detection.
As a country, we are stronger than cancer.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Wednesday, October 27th. I am Sabrina Daly. We've been hearing about blood clot issues that COVID has had on survivors from other regions, and now there are reports that Belizeans who have been infected with the virus are also having blood clot issues months later. President of the Belize Medical and Dental Association, Dr. Uldeen Wright, told News 5 today that while the epidemiological figures are still being collected, there is a significant number of COVID survivors who never even had a sniffle, who are now gripped with this serious health problem.
I can speak from experience that we have patients who come in and they're saying they just think they're stressed out because of work. And so I said, I would tell them you have to get a COVID test. They said, I had COVID last December. I didn't have anything. That rings a bell and tell me I have to go and check for blood clots. And I've gotten quite a few in which there were blood clots, pulmonary embolisms, post-COVID in asymptomatic patients.
It is expected that coming out of this week's medical congress, there will be useful information on how doctors can go about treating patients who develop these other health issues as a result of contracting the COVID-19 virus. Currently, COVID patients who have moderate to serious symptoms are given or prescribed blood thinners or aspirin regimens to be taken daily. Dr. Wright said that from this past Monday and for the next 4 days, Belizean doctors are engaged with their international counterparts in the Belize Medical and Dental Association's 37th Medical Congress, discussing medicine and the coronavirus. What doctors abroad have been witnessing and coming up with to treat their patients could be of relevance to Belize in the way we respond to our approach in treating COVID patients, the medical practitioner indicated.
It's a new disease. We did not read about it in any of our textbooks at school. So as new evolution of the disease comes about, the treatment changes, the disease evolves, we are learning both from our local and international presenters. Last year, hydrochloroquine was the medication of choice, and we have seen that that does no longer work. Same ivermectin became popular once in all over the world, even in our national protocols. But we have been seeing how scientific data is showing that in the clinical trials it doesn't work. We have our doctors, our nurses, dental surgeons, allied health technicians like lab techs, pharmacists, participating in the Congress and learning from each other. In worldwide, where there are studies showing that you can get infected 2 or 3 times afterwards, and the severity, again, is data being collected. Some are showing that symptoms get worse, some are showing it's not as bad. So this data is being collected as we speak right now.
Wright says that lately medical practitioners have been seeing a decline in the number of COVID infections around the world, and this is also expected to be the case in Belize in the coming weeks. On Tuesday, we heard internist Dr. Fernando Cuellar say that members of the medical community were calling for mandatory vaccinations in Belize after several of their members, the most recent of whom is pediatrician Dr. Cecilio Eck, has become infected with COVID. BMDA President Dr. Uldeen Wright told News 5 today that their 200-plus members have always been pushing for the vaccinations to be mandatory. And there's one church that also supports that position. Anglican Bishop Philip Wright told News 5 that the wider church community will need to further discuss the matter before coming up with one position on mandatory vaccination.
We have made our position to encourage vaccination, and we've even had a survey that we support the implementation of requiring the vaccine passport. We are for it. We have always been lobbying for changes in legislation that would encourage more vaccination. So that right now, this was brought up by several of our members over the past few days. And we have been seeing that there has been an increase in the uptake or the acceptance of the vaccine. But once we saw that there were, some of the mandates have been removed, we have seen the decrease in the amount of persons getting vaccination. So that's something, again, yes, we will look into, we will discuss as a body, and we'll make a position on it.
I will say for the Anglicans, though, consistent across the region, we have been pushing for governments to seriously consider the mandate. Mindful, of course, of those who, for medical reasons and so on.
Earlier this month, the price per gallon of liquefied petroleum gas, butane, increased by 38 cents. The price hike was attributed to a combination of supply issues as stock levels in the United States continue to dwindle in the face of strong external demands. On Tuesday, the Briceño administration introduced a bill to amend the National Liquefied Petroleum Gas Project Act, which will allow for a system of calculating the price of butane. According to Francis Fonseca, Minister of Science and Technology, the amendment will also include a condition for the purchase of LPG for importation only. This will be done by way of a supervised tendering process.
To amend the National Liquefied Petroleum Gas Project Act, Act number 12 of 2019, of the Substantive Laws of Belize, revised edition 2011, to require the developer to obtain a license to import LPG into Belize, provide for a new LPG pricing methodology, and to provide for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto, Mr. Speaker, this bill has the recommendation of the Cabinet. That act is now the subject of a legal challenge grounded primarily on the effect of the exclusive right to import conferred by Section 5 of the Act on the fundamental rights of the claimants. Under the agreement, NGCL was given an indemnity that if the exclusive agreement given for them to import LPG was declared invalid or unenforceable, the government would indemnify the company for any liability, loss, or damage. Based on our legal advice, it is important to move this amendment to seek to mitigate government's liability. The amendments seek to achieve two things. One, delete Section 5 of the Act and replace it with a new section which provides that the right to import LPG into Belize and to engage in the business of selling and distributing LPG shall be subject to Section 3 of the Supplies Control Regulations. So it removes the right to be granted import licenses. And two, introduces a new requirement for the acquisition of LPG for importation only by way of a supervised tendering process. This prevents the practice of transfer pricing by those companies who purchase LPG.
A raft of bills pertaining to existing loans that the government of Belize has with banks in Taiwan was brought before the House of Representatives on Tuesday. The Briceño administration is seeking to defer payments on these debts in order to save money over a 2-year and 3-year period, respectively. Prime Minister John Briceño, who introduced the motions, says that Belize will benefit from immediate cash flow relief.
Today we have 10 loan motions concerning the Republic of China, Taiwan, that we're tabling for approval. These are not new loans. What we're doing is varying the terms of existing loans to provide Belize with much needed cash flow relief. See, Madam Speaker, the government, through its bilateral economic cooperation and development program with Taiwan, has over the years benefited from several loans to assist in the development of Belize. 9 of these loans are with the Export-Import Bank of the Republic of China, totaling $191 million, and one is with Mega International Commercial Bank with a balance of $46 million. What we are now doing is improve the government's fiscal position and provide critical cash flow relief.
While the opposition leader acknowledges the assistance that the Taiwanese government has provided over the years, he says that there is no immediate relief for Belizean motorists across the country. Notwithstanding GOB's ability to save millions of dollars by staying its payments to the Export-Import Bank and Mega International Commercial Bank, it has been unable to reduce the cost of fuel. It's a contrast that Patrick Faber was able to make in the House of Representatives.
Let me place on record our gratitude to the government and people of Taiwan for their very generous offer to stay these principal payments for 2.5 years, and in one instance, if I remember correctly, Prime Minister, 3 years. And using the Prime Minister's own description, Madam Speaker, we would have been able to free up, so to speak, some $70 million over the next 2.5 to 3 years in terms of the principal payments to these 10 loans. But in the same breath, Madam Speaker, that we're doing this, we receive an announcement that for the very first time in the history of this country, I think, that gas prices has gone over $12. So if it is, we are getting this kind of reprieve. We are getting reprieve from these 10 loans from Taiwan. If we are getting reprieve from the super bond, why is it that it cannot translate into some relief for the Belizean people? This Prime Minister has gone on record, Madam Speaker, to say that these gas prices are out of hand and should not be where it is when he was opposition leader. Now, with the kind of developments that he is asking us to support now, I would wish that he could give us some good news today in terms of the gas prices and say immediately tomorrow these gas prices will go down.
Coming up, Belizean farmers in the Orange Walk district deliver on a promise to consumers. They are harvesting one favorite crop early. Details when we return.
Mangroves are a natural resource that are protected under the laws of Belize since 1989. 4 species of mangroves, the black, the white, the red, and the buttonwood, cover 3.4% of Belize's land surface. This type of water forest ecosystem acts as home for juvenile marine life, helps to prevent coastal erosion, and stores large amounts of carbon for long periods. Their protection reduces greenhouse gas emissions and supports climate change mitigation.
If climate change and some of the impacts of climate change, it impacts the forest, right? Then it has a ripple effect. So in turn, by not combating or not showing a level of sustainable forest management, right, in effect it can exacerbate the impacts of climate change, right, and expedite some of the impacts that we're seeing as a result of climate change. If you want to produce in a certain area, you have to go through a level of destruction of that ecosystem, right? Deforestation that disrupts the watershed. Again, an imbalance. You might not see the impacts now, right? But it's all connected.
But this important ecosystem is sometimes taken for granted. It's among one of the first to be cleared and discarded by developers along coastline communities, rivers, estuaries, and on the Keys, and is affected by deforestation.
We don't know if there's been any environmental impact assessment done by the people who are cutting down the mangrove patches here. And if you notice along the street as well, the street was washing away, and so we decided as a community to come together to plant back mangroves along the street. And so we are very, very concerned about the impacts of what this type of development can have on our community.
Todo esto era manglar. Aquí era un santuario de aves. Todo era manglar natural. Ahora todo se fue.
And Burgers Key, as much of Belize's Caribbean coast, is home to mangroves. A few residents have taken it upon themselves to raise awareness about the importance of mangroves. Some stakeholders have opted to coexist with these amazing trees instead of cutting them down.
That I would encourage everyone who's thinking about investing or creating something. I think they should work with the mangroves, work around it. There's many ways of working around it without taking it down completely. And anything green should be protected. We should protect, whether in the islands or wherever, we should be very careful with it and use it to our advantage, knowing now the importance of the mangroves and the role it plays for everybody, for the way we live, for our kids, our families, and especially the marine life. The importance of it is immense.
To conserve mangrove, other residents trim and manicure them into a landscape. Islander Calvin Young looks after a patch of mangrove forest within downtown San Pedro. It has become an iguana sanctuary.
This is Eco Iguana Corner Foundation. We've been in existence now for 14 years, but we've just been recognized by the government for 4 years now. Most people see the mangrove and they see it as a trash pile. They try everything they don't want in their yard. They try to throw it over in the trash, and it makes no sense. So it's like, if you care about where you live, the first thing you want to try to do is clean up where you live. You see how the temperature difference is here? Way different, cooler. That's one benefit. When it comes to erosion, that's a plus. I mean, a lot of things that we have that we take for granted was because of the mangrove. we into the preservation and the awareness of the iguana being extinct.
I think awareness is really important. You know, education is really important, because if everyone can understand what climate change is, what is causing climate change, and how we can mitigate climate change, then that is, I believe, a way how we can help to mitigate the effects of climate change and for all of us to be part of the solution. So I think education is really important, and that's the reason why we're out in the communities to do a lot of awareness sessions, to educate our people, you know, what is really causing it and how we can be part of the solution.
This blue carbon ecosystem is key to the survival of the fishing industry, tourism, and helps in the mitigation of climate change. And all stakeholders from the policy level to grassroots must continue to work together to conserve and protect this natural resource.
Let us, you know, use our resources sustainably, because at the end of the day, it's for our benefit and also for, you know, our future, because we all depend on forests.
So I'm gonna wonder if by chance I could get your number. It's Digit. Nice.
Of course, you have digital, right?
Yeah, of course.
The truth is, your credit lasts way longer with Digi. Like if you top up with like $30, that could last you 90 days. With the other guys, that must say 60. Then with the other guys, you have to use all of your good prime credit before you even touch your bonus credit. But with Digi, you could use your bonus credit before you even touch your prime credit. Like, what are the point to have free credit if you can't use it how you want? So, what are your number?
Just give me one moment.
The truth is, only Digi offers nationwide LTE coverage, fastest mobile data speeds, and the best call quality.
Today, the media was invited to witness the early harvesting of carrots from the fields in San Carlos Village in the Orange Walk district. The orange root vegetable was of good quality and was a test carried out by the farmers to plant earlier than usual in an effort to supply the market demands.
Potato salad, coleslaw, and even fresh veg are just not the same without carrots. Aside from the adage that it helps with your eyesight, this root vegetable is sweet and can be eaten raw and cooked. Whether by local producers or imported, the country consumes roughly 44,000 pounds of carrots weekly.
We are here this morning to see a historic harvesting of carrots earlier than what is usual. These farmers, as was mentioned, planted in the month of July, which is off-season. They did that, and despite the weather challenges and the different other challenges that they had, they were still successful in producing a good quality carrot, just as we're now seeing. And that in itself is something to salute the farmers, because they did it.
San Carlos Village, una comunidad agrícola, translated as an agricultural community, is based in a remote area of Orange Walk district and provides a large percentage of the vegetables in the market. Members of the New River Farmers Cooperative were out harvesting acres of carrots, which are then manually washed and bagged before they are picked up by a buyer before making its way into markets and stores. Village Chairman Maximiliano Hernandez is a member of the cooperative.
En esta finca de zanahoria,
on this farm, it is normal for all products to have their harvest time. Carrots usually have to be 3 months to 100 days old to be ready to harvest. In this area where we are, it is not the practice to seek the best. It has to be wet so that it is easy to harvest. so that it is soft. But there is always a percentage that is rejected. That selection process happens during the washing process. It is necessary to take the wash area because it has dirt. We simply harvest the amount that more or less we want to sell to the market. This coming week, the first week of November, the production is going to normalize. All November, all December, harvesting starts in Cayo, starts in Springfield, starts in Barton Creek, and the markets are full.
The Ministry of Agriculture has a policy to desist from issuing importation permits for vegetables, specifically in the case of carrots, to give farmers fair access to the markets. This is to ensure the survival of the industry and the lifeblood of the farmers.
As long as there is local production of any of our products, whether it be carrots, whether it be potato, whether it be onions, whether it be celery, anything, we will not allow importation to come in. It's the first time that we are harvesting carrots so early. I think the farmers mentioned it to you because, again, our policy is import substitution. So we need to have local production. If we can extend the period of time that we have local production, that means that we'll be importing less.
Elsewhere in the media, there had been reports of carrot shortages, but as harvesting commences, the projection is that for the next 6 months, local carrot farmers will be able to fully supply the national demand. But according to District Agriculture Coordinator Barry Palacio, that will not be without its challenges.
The projection for carrot production is within the range of almost 3 million pounds of carrots. Historically, Belize only produces 1.2, 1.3 million pounds of carrots. So the projection is that we will have the other side of the problem in which the farmers will be tasked as to how they will market their product. And unless we do value adding or some other product, or perhaps a different market, a new market, the farmers will have that problem.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Among the issues that have been affecting the industry is price gouging. This is being carried out by those described as predatory persons who mark up the prices, burdening consumers. Regarding recent reports that some carrots seem to rot quickly, Orange Walk District Agriculture Coordinator Barry Palacio says that all carrots, imported or local, generally have a shelf life of about 3 to 4 days. He says that the quality of the vegetable in Belize is good, but the middlemen purchasing large quantities of the vegetable and may have passed them on to the vendor days later.
In most of our neighboring countries, farmers are heavily subsidized. In Belize, our farmers are not subsidized. And the cost of our inputs are normally higher than our neighbors. So it will cost our farmers more to produce because of that situation. However, that can also be a blessing in disguise because our farmers produce a wholesome product, a product that is healthy, as opposed to what we're bringing in and we don't even know what has been applied to them. The policy is to facilitate local produce. In so doing, some people want to take advantage of it and they have no regard to grading and they sell the general public items that are substandard. As we will be sharing with you, here at San Carlos, there is a process. From the fields, the produce is washed, it is sorted and graded, and then sold to the buyers. So that incident that happened a week or two ago, that process did not happen. People were trying to make a quick buck, and they failed to conduct or to practice these safe practices. And that in itself contributes to that age-old perception that the local produce is not good.
Palacio says that more dialogue and consumer protection will have to be factored in to safeguard against these bad practices. But in order to compete with the imported carrots from the region, which are being sold at lower prices, farmers from the New River Farmers Cooperative wants help from government. Soil quality, a climate-resilient variety of carrot, among other things, will take significant investment. Today, we asked Agriculture CEO Servulo Baiza about what government can do. He says that help is coming.
The challenge to them has been, let's try to produce more, even if it is what we call out of season. And so with that, of course, you will come with different challenges. I mean, they'll tell you they should be getting about 14,000 pounds per acre. Because it's out of season, they're averaging about 7,000 pounds per acre. You might have a lot of reject, and so they're not making as much money as they would if it's during the particular season or the season itself. So those are the things that we have to look at. I think the farmers mentioned also about research, that we need to try to find the varieties, because there are new varieties coming on, being tested and being put out in the market that can last longer and that can tolerate more heat and so on. So that kind of research is the challenge that we would have, let's say, for instance, at Central Farm, where we will have to try some of these new varieties to see how they would be produced or how they grow in out of season, so that then we can then pass on that knowledge, transfer that to the farmers for them to do that. The climate, I mean, our tropical climate is a challenge for everything for us. We're talking about the temperature, the heat, you're talking about rain, you're talking about pests. I mean, our environment is very challenging to grow anything. Whilst we can, it's very challenging. But the Ministry of Agriculture is promoting, for instance, climate smart agriculture. We're promoting covered structures. So these are the areas that we're going. Right now we have a project where we'll be distributing 30 covered structures throughout the country. This is a CDF project that we're undertaking right now. This should start off like next December. We're hoping, hopefully ending of November, December, these cover structures will start to go up.
A new agreement has still not been made between the larger Sugarcane Farmer Association, BSCFA, and the Millers, ASR-BSI. According to a clause within the standing contract that is soon coming to an end, either party can request renegotiation of a new agreement. The Millers are saying there is no need for any negotiation since the three other associations in the North have signed. With the start of the 2021 crop season soon to begin, we asked Agriculture CEO Servala Baiza if GOB is going to get involved.
We have been discussing with the farmers and listening to their concerns and what are the areas that they want to look at. ASR has written to us and written to the association saying, well, we don't think it's an appropriate time right now, and there are certain things that they don't want to look at again, but there are other things that they want to add. So obviously, if there are things that they want to add and the farmers want to negotiate, then that should happen. So we, in terms of the ministry, is certainly in support that they should sit down around the table. In any kind of negotiation, I don't think any party should come out, totally on top. There has to be some room for compromise, and there must be some understanding. I understand ASR. It's a huge. They're looking at huge investments. They have their money, at stake, but then the farmers also have huge investments too. I mean, we're talking about the livelihood of over 5,000 families. So I believe, and I'm sure that the minister supports that at some point they will have to sit down.
After the break, the joint unions say they may start oiling up the industrial action machine again if they don't get the promised 6-month review of the salary cut situation. But first, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
For the immediate future, our entire country's focus is to ensure that each of us take adequate measures to mitigate against the COVID-19 pandemic. We all need to ensure frequent hand washing or sanitizing, regular disinfection of surfaces, constant social distancing, and a sufficient supply of sanitizing and cleansing material. At this critical time, a reliable supply of clean potable water is of utmost importance to ensure our health and peace of mind. Water is therefore a vital necessity to help us remain free from illness and ultimately to help Belize's economic recovery. Help us to help you by paying your water bill. Our return to a healthy and vibrant economy depends on you.
Belize Water Services, delivering water and more.
When something is good and you can save, that makes it even better. Like this guy, he buys Flex bundles using his promo credit. No worries when his primary credit is finished. He gets talk, text, and data for free. Or her, she calls her family internationally with her promo credit. And with data packages so affordable, she even does video calls. Smart continues to offer great deals and affordable promotions. As a small business owner, she saves when she uses her promo credit to call the other guys. All Smart customers enjoy more triple days and knowing they can use their promo credit, which just lasts longer. Smart, bringing people together.
Despite our best efforts, we often let our guards down. Reaching in for hugs and unavoidable encounters expose us to COVID-19, and not knowing our status can be scary. Quality rapid antigen tests, such as ST Biosensor, have provided a quick way to find out our COVID-19 status. And now, with the introduction of the FDA-approved Accula Rapid PCR test, finding out your COVID-19 status using PCR is also quick and easy. The Accula Rapid PCR test delivers results in just 30 minutes to identify patients who are COVID-19 positive. The Accula Rapid PCR test will further strengthen Belize's testing capabilities and benefit Belizeans as we attempt to resume doing the things we love and enjoy. Through quality, reliable tools like the ST Biosensor antigen test, the Accula Rapid PCR test, heroic frontline workers, and responsible government and citizenry, we will beat COVID-19.
The Public Service Union president has commented on GOB's move to restructure the leadership posts at the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Dean Flowers says there is already an efficient organizational structure at the Office of the Director of Health Services. On Monday, Prime Minister John Briceño went on record saying the post of DHS has grown so much that it is impossible for one director to lead. But according to Flowers, the latest action is in the form of the amendments tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday is really the means to an end to remove the current DHS, Dr. Marvin Manzanero. This morning on Channel 5's Open Your Eyes, he explained the current organizational flowchart and respective duties of those in charge at the ministry.
It is the fact that the current individual or the current holder of that office, for whatever reason, there seems to be personality differences. I am clueless about what is the current holder's crime against this administration.
Have you had engagements with him?
I have had several engagements with him, and I want to debunk the ministry's and the government's assertion that there is too many rules for this one individual. So unfortunately, I just got a hold of this. This is the organizational structure of the Ministry of Health.
Okay,
and you'll see, Marlene, that there is the DHS at the top who answers to the CEO. Supporting the DHS, you have a deputy DHS who is responsible for nursing, licensing of nurses, of course, family and community health, accreditation, dental health, HECOBOB, pharmacy, Southern Regional and Western Regional. That's a deputy director that deals with all of those. You have another deputy director of Health Services, and the first person that I spoke of is currently Nurse Bell. You have Dr. Mori, Deputy Director of Health Services. He's responsible for epidemiology and surveillance, nutrition, vector control, public health, Central Medical Lab, Northern and Central Region. That's his portfolio. Then you have the Director of Policy and Planning and Prospect Management, who is Dr. Zuniga. He's responsible for health partners and prospect management. The DHS post, as you can see here, directly responsible for NDAC, control of medical stores, health and information system, and drug inspector. So this nonsense that the government is now putting out there, that there is so much for this one post and that this one individual. Now, was the current holder micromanaging? It could be, but isn't it then the duty of the CEO to ensure that that micromanagement, if that is what was happening, stops, and that these individuals are held accountable in accordance with their portfolio, in accordance with what we're paying them to do?
No official announcement has been made yet about who will be filling the posts of Director of Hospital Services and Director of Public Health and Wellness. The PSU president says his membership wants the posts to be filled in accordance with the Public Service Act.
I took the liberty to just highlight a section of the PSR which speaks to promotion. A public officer shall not be promoted to a post for which he is not qualified. The commission, in considering the promotion of a public officer to fill a vacancy, shall base its decision on the following. So I'm hoping that for those two posts, that individuals who are highly qualified and competent will be promoted to those posts in accordance with regulation. Now, will Dr. Manza be offered one of those posts? I don't know, because the information is conflicting.
I was going to ask, doesn't that now make him redundant if his post no longer exists?
His post has been made redundant by virtue of what they have done. However,
what's in the process? Yeah.
Does the duties of the Director of Health Services, are those duties abolished? No, they're simply being split. So the post is redundant. He's not redundant. So perhaps we can do a quick review of Minister Shabat's comment. He'll now, and I think he made this declaration on your show, he would be in charge of what they refer to as international affairs in the ministry. Now, I don't know where international affairs fall within the whole scope of these two posts. Clearly, those posts do not speak directly of international affairs, so it wouldn't appear that he will be the holder of one of those posts.
The 10% pay cut also continues to be a contentious issue. Could there be another strike? PSU President Flowers says although the 6-month review is due, so far they have not heard anything from the Prime Minister. The unions want their full salary restored and are waiting to see if the PM does in fact communicate with them by the end of the week.
The month of November ends on Friday, and to date, the Public Service Union nor the joint unions have received any correspondence from the Office of the Prime Minister as it relates to our 6 months financial review of government finances to deal with the projection on our 10% cut. And I want to say to public officers that we're on that ball. The joint unions are having discussions, and we await between now and Friday to see if we will hear from the government for us to do a comprehensive review on what has occurred since November to now as it relates to government finances, so that they can get back their 10%, or else we may very well have to start talking about oiling our machinery once again.
Just ahead, a law firm says a member of the House went too far in her comments about their client. Details when we return. But first, here's a weather update with data from the Belize Met Service.
have a baby on the way, here is what you need to know about maternity benefit. It includes both an allowance for 14 weeks and a grant, which is a lump sum of $300. The basic requirements are: you must be employed, you must have at least 50 paid contributions, and you must have continuous contributions leading up to delivery. To apply, a licensed doctor certifies the expected date of delivery. The employer completes the salaries record. Submit your completed claim form as soon as possible. After giving birth, submit your continuation claim no later than 3 weeks after delivery. If the mother does not qualify, the father of the child may qualify for the maternity grant. Want to know more about maternity benefit or grant? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Have you ever wondered how to tell if someone is marriage material? Do you ever wish there was more to your marriage? Maybe you've asked yourself, how do I raise my kids the way God wants me to? Join us for our new series, Mixtape. We'll play through how God wants us to love the people in our lives one track at a time. Get ready to crank up the volume and tune in for advice God gives us in the areas that matter most.
Galenia Hospital, located in Cancun, Mexico's premier tourism destination, is a state-of-the-art healthcare facility that provides highly specialized medical services. We are Quintana Roo's biggest private hospital with board-certified doctors and staff. Some of our services include Cath Lab, Adult Intensive Care Unit, Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, emergency rooms, operating theaters, ambulance services, and more. We are a medically accredited hospital by JCI, Accreditation Canada International, and General Health Council, providing extraordinary care in every specialty, from our cardiology department to our neurology center. We are focused on treating the entire person, body, mind, and spirit. Contact us at medicaltourism@hospitalgalenia.com or visit our website at www.hospitalgalenia.com. Come to Galenia Hospital in Cancun for a truly personal medical care experience.
The continued fight against COVID-19 requires the continued practice of public health measures across all sectors and in every community. Frequent and proper hand washing, wearing face masks, and physical distancing. Do you know who is not physical distancing? The Aedes aegypti mosquito. Did you know that dengue is the most common mosquito-borne viral disease in the world? So let's get to work. Use window and door screens to keep mosquitoes out. Change the water in vases and scrub inside surfaces to remove mosquito eggs. Avoid using saucers with potted plants to prevent collection of water. Securely cover water barrels and drums with mosquito netting and properly fitted covers. Scrub the inside walls of water barrels and drums with detergent 1 to 2 times per week. Walk around the outside of your home and remove or overturn containers that can collect water and become breeding sites. Mosquitoes only need a small amount of water to lay their eggs. Remove unwanted cans, bottles, buckets, or used tires. Other items still in use must be properly stored in covered areas to avoid water settling in them. Clean roof gutters and air conditioner trays. Debushing and removing tall grass from around your home or establishment is also key to reducing mosquito populations. Fight the bite and protect yourself and your family too from mosquito-borne diseases.
Bringing people together has always been SMART's mission and passion. That is why we are proud to have built a locally independent quality network from the ground up that spans the country with over 100 sites. We continue to add more affordable mobile data packages, broadband speeds, and voice services to meet your personal and business needs. SMART has set the standard of true competition with the most competitive prices on all services offered. We invite and welcome you to join the SMART family. where the value for your dollar matters. Smart will continue bringing new technologies, more affordable prices, network expansions, and people together. Smart, bringing people together.
It has been over 180 years since the emancipation of slavery, yet compensation for the wrong that has been done to African people remains an issue to this day. In Belize, reparations have also been the topic of discussion among historians for many years. But the government of Belize is taking that issue a step further by introducing a motion in Parliament to address the injustices and human rights violations faced by our African ancestors. Deputy Prime Minister Cordell Hyde tabled the motion and placed it into historical context.
Now therefore be it resolved that this Honourable House debate the issue and take the unanimous decision that 1. The government of Belize is morally, legally and ethically obliged on behalf of the former slaves and their descendants of Belize, then the British settlement in the Bay of Honduras, to present the appropriate case in the United Kingdom to determine whether, as a matter of law, the United Kingdom is liable for the unlawful seizure, transportation and subsequent enslavement of African people in Belize under British colonial rule up until 1833, and to receive the appropriate reparations from Britain. 2, the government of Belize, in presenting this case to the appropriate body, shall seek to evaluate not only the economic cost of slavery in Belize, but also based on expert evidence, seek reparation for the former slaves and their descendants for the denial of their culture and history, human rights abuses, including but not limited to murder, rape, flogging, branding, denial of freedom of movement, freedom to worship, freedom to own land, and the right to education.
This is one of those motions that each and every one of us must place on record our full support, because, as we know, the colonialization of our region has been something that we have been having to live with for so many years. I know that the colonial masters felt that they did us a huge favor in 1838 when they emancipated the slaves. But the consequences, the generational consequences, have had a profound impact in a most negative manner for so many years.
The controversy over the reopening of churches continues as church leaders in Belize have called for another meeting with Prime Minister John Briceño to further discuss how Statutory Instrument 119 will be applied as it pertains to reopening even to the unvaccinated. Anglican Bishop Philip Wright explained there will have to be more analysis of the status among church members.
If you cannot monitor this thing well, right, you end up with the risk that you will have vaccinated and unvaccinated persons in church. And you're right, the elderly would be the most vulnerable, I think, and others, of course. And that was also a situation we were not prepared to embrace. And so the church leaders a week ago said, we have to look at some new alternatives. And we were not prepared to open churches unless we could have worked through some alternatives. That's where we ended the conversation, if you will, with the Prime Minister. No? I don't believe we were in favor of maybe what this new SI will do, which is just open up the churches and not necessarily making a distinction between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. We didn't want to go there either. And so what we have done is we have requested a conversation with the PM, further conversation, and the Minister of Health and Wellness for us to look at some alternatives to just what this current SI may be proposing. No? And some of those things would be to do a proper investigation perhaps congregation by congregation to ascertain their own preparedness. And if they meet the standards, meaning, for instance, let's say the vaccination requirement was maintained, do some assessment of a congregation to see, have they prepared a proper list of their vaccinated and unvaccinated members, for one. And secondly, what other measures are they taking to ensure that even when the vaccinated assemble, other protocols are being followed?
Copies have surfaced of a letter sent to Area Representative Tracy Panton by the law firm Glenn D. Godfrey and Company. The correspondence, which bears today's date, alleges she made defamatory comments about their clients, State Bank Enterprise Limited and Michael Feinstein, in a media interview on October 7th. The firm says her interview implied they entered into an environmental compliance plan through some, quote, nefarious or fraudulent means, and that the same was illegitimate, end quote. Godfrey and Company says that if Panton wishes to avoid further actions being taken, she must provide a written apology. But if that is not forthcoming, they will advise their clients to issue proceedings for defamation. Up next, UNICEF provides needed equipment to help deliver vaccines to rural areas. Find out more about their latest donation when we return.
The COVID vaccines that we have available are very effective and safe. And it is very important for elderly persons and frontline health workers and other frontline workers to get it, because these vaccines protect you from becoming ill if you get COVID.
As COVID-19 vaccines are approved for use in the general population, monitoring for safety continues. Each COVID-19 vaccine goes through the same clinical trials and rigorous study as with all other vaccines, with the focus on safety and efficacy.
Nothing goes into the nucleus, nothing affects the genetic code of the human. It is a very safe vaccine. This is a vaccine that we all need to take because it will keep us safe.
Vaccines bring us closer.
What is the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine? The Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is an RNA vaccine that triggers our immune system to develop antibodies against the SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes COVID-19. It helps to reduce hospitalization, severity of the disease, and death. What is the Pfizer vaccine made of, and is it safe? The Pfizer vaccine is made up of mRNA messenger ribonucleic acid, which are molecules that carry the genetic information needed to make proteins, lipid, salts, and sugar. It is safe for persons 12 years and older and does not contain the COVID-19 virus, hence cannot cause infection. Tests have shown that the vaccine is effective against current virus variants. Who should take the Pfizer vaccine? The Pfizer vaccine should be taken by persons 12 years of age and older who do not have severe allergic reaction after a previous dose of vaccine or have not had severe allergic reaction to any ingredient of this vaccine. 2 doses of the vaccine are required 3 weeks apart. If you are between the ages of 12 and 17 years, you are required to present a signed consent form before you are vaccinated. What are the side effects of the Pfizer vaccine? Some common side effects of the Pfizer vaccine are headache, fatigue, muscle pain, fever, chills, and swelling at the injection site. If side effects persist, contact your doctor as soon as possible. Does the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine prevent infection and transmission? No, vaccination alone does not prevent infection and transmission. We are still required to continue to wear masks properly, physically distance, wash and sanitize hands often, practice proper coughing and sneezing hygiene, and avoid crowds.
Fridays. Every Friday in October, you can double up from $1 to $39 and triple up with $40 or more. All treats only with Smart.
The TV you love is always with you, from live TV, sports, and on-demand titles. Choose your plan today. Plans start as low as $15 per month. My TV. Entertainment anytime, anywhere.
Fire officials believe a fire Tuesday evening that destroyed a wooden structure near the Yabra Bridge in Belize City was intentionally set. Fortunately, the house has been unoccupied and did not contain any household items. This afternoon, we spoke to the officer in charge at the Belize District National Fire Service about this latest case of suspected arson and the owner of the house, Stanley Renault.
5:25, the National Fire Service was alerted of a call, and the caller stated of an unknown fire in the Yabra area of cemetery. We responded, and on arrival we saw a wooden elevated structure engulfed in flames. We got into firefighting mode, extinguishing that particular fire, after which, as per normal, an investigation commenced into trying to determine ownership and the cause and the origin. We learned that the building, which was unoccupied at the time of the fire, was being owned by Stanley Renault. Those football people might know him as Jordan. The building was unoccupied. It had no electricity. Fortunately, our team managed to suppress the fire before the building was totally gutted. The structure remained. Heavy damage was sustained to the building.
Any ideas as yet as to the source of this fire?
We learned that the fire originated in the rear of the building, which we would make reference as the southeastern portion of the building near the sea. Due to the use of the building, it wasn't occupied. We found the remains of what was a chair. We couldn't find any other household furnishing within the building. An extensive and thorough search of the area was conducted to try to determine the cause. We can say that the cause was a malicious act by a person or persons unknown, and for whatever reasons unbeknown to us. The location where we noticed this fire started from was at the rear, out of the view of the closest neighbor, so that gave the perpetrators enough time to create their mischief and abandon the scene without being noticed.
Today I got a call between 5 and 5:15. I got the first call between 5 and 5:15 telling me that my house was on fire. I was in, my partners, I'm on the coaching staff. I'm the goalkeeper coach for the 20 national team preparing for Santo Domingo, our World Cup qualifiers in Santo Domingo. They leave the 5th to the 15th.
Do you have any suspicions as to who may be behind this?
No suspicion, no clue.
Are you aware of the fact, according to the fire department, that this is a case of arson, however?
Yeah, definitely could be a case of arson because the house didn't have any water, didn't have any electricity.
This afternoon, UNICEF Belize handed over 100 cold chain storage boxes to the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The boxes will be used to store vaccination doses in rural Belize. UNICEF's monitoring and evaluation specialist Paulette Wade spoke today at a brief handing over ceremony.
Today, this donation continues to strengthen that partnership.
This cold boxes that you see here today has a vaccination storage capacity of about 4.7 gallons, which is roughly about 34 pounds. And it maintains its temperature. It can maintain its temperature for 5 days. It is also equipped with 50 ice packs for additional temperature maintenance. In addition, each of these boxes, the shelf life is 10 years. So we know that these boxes will support the ministry in its reach in the rural areas while it continues to support the immunization services, but also to ensure the cold chain is kept from the vaccination unit until it reaches the communities in the rural areas.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.